When I got up to that room, the first thing I noticed was the door had a keyed deadbolt lock. Like the back door, the room locked from outside. I wondered if there was a lever on the inside, but I pretty much knew the answer to that question without needing to check. I also saw a chair, a non-swivel plastic desk chair with thin metal legs, sitting near the centre of the room. The room had old, dark carpet, and those wood-panelled walls. I noticed that the walls were completely panelled, with no windows. And I know that room had at least one window, probably two, so whoever did that, panelling went over the windows. There was also a phone in there, plugged in and sitting on the floor. It was an old office phone, probably from around the 80s or early 90s. Dingy beige plastic with several buttons to manage different phone lines. Just sitting there on the carpet near the wall, with the chair at a slight distance facing the phone. There was nothing else in that room. I was standing at the threshold of the room, with one foot slightly in, absolutely not going past that door. I looked back at Dude. He was still standing by the other door, just nervously smiling at me, trying hard to look casual, but obviously very nervous or something. He said something like, "Well, what do you want to do?" Instead of answering, I felt around the backside of the deadbolt lock. Sure enough, nothing there but smooth wood of the door. It also dawned on me that I did not see a light switch anywhere for the ceiling lamp. Where was the switch? Who knows? It should have just been inside the door, of course, but that original switch had been covered up by the panelling. He mumbled something about not having the key to that lock. Don't worry about it. I turned back to face the guy and just said, "What is it that you want to do here?" My skin had gone ice cold as I realised that I was way too far into this apartment. I was running through my options in my head. What is this guy going to do? He doesn't appear to have a weapon or anything in reach, but who the fuck knows what goes on in this place? What are you trying to do? He was almost totally derailed by that. He stammered out, "Some hot man-to-man fun?" With the weakest smile I've ever seen, looking like he's just a hair's breadth away from panicking. That sounded comical, but really, that sentence was probably the most chilling part of the entire experience for me. It was the way he said it, like he had to come up with something on the fly, something that would sound plausible, and he failed. Who says that in real life? Hey, do you want to have some hot man-to-man fun? Nobody. It's something you see on advertisement for cheesy porn site or something. Some hot man-to-man fun? Smile, quivering lips? That was it. I said, "Nope, I want to go. I'm leaving." He says, "Huh, okay." I quickly walked past him as he flattened himself against the wall to avoid me, and I noped right out through the living room dissection area and through the kitchen to the back door, which was thankfully still not dead-bolted. The keys were still on the counter. I let myself out of the door and didn't bother closing that, as I saw him slowly coming to the door behind me. I deliberately walked, not ran, to my car. Looking back at the building, I could see that indeed there was windows facing the backyard area from that panelled room, but of course it was covered up from the inside. Dude was shutting the lock on that back door, and I left, heart pounding, skin icy cold, thinking, holy fuck, what was that? So, was this guy some kind of killer? Or was he just an awkward closet gay guy? With access to a sterile looking apartment with an autopsy mortuary table and a windowless room that locks from the outside, with a chair and phone and no light switch, it's clear to me that that poor soul who walks into the room, gets locked in, he probably shuts off the light from somewhere and calls the phone. Other than that, it's anyone's guess what happens. I assume the friends of the judgmental person who emailed me must have been some kid who got locked in for whatever game ensures. Driving home, at first I thought, of course, I have to call the police and tell them what's in that place. But thinking it through, I realised I didn't really have any crime to tell them about. I went to meet a man for casual sex, and what? He has a room with a chair in it. He has, as I thought at the time, an exam table. The police aren't going to do anything with that story. The guy didn't touch me or anything to me, and I left. I considered calling up anonymous tip line, but again, what exactly would I report? There was no actionable crime. Also, keep in mind that at that time, while the local police in the city were pretty decent, they weren't especially interested in getting involved with helping the gays. They'd prosecute actual crimes if that was cut and dry, but I'd heard plenty of accounts of them not choosing to follow up any cases that was not an easy arrest to be made. I decided not to report anything, because nothing would come of it except drawing unwanted attention to myself. Even in retrospect, I think it was probably the most rational choice to make. If this happened today in 2020, the law enforcement would probably be a lot more interested. But back then, not so much. So live and learn. I still drove past the house once in a while, in the normal course of life for several years, and I'd pay attention to how it looked. The vertical blinds were close for maybe 5 or 6 years. Wherever I went past, then eventually the blinds were down, and there were decorative curtains in the window, so I assumed the place was entirely sold to somebody who actually lived in it. Around 2002, maybe 2003, there was a murder of a young man on the news. He'd been found in the next state, which borders on my city, so it's not very far away. I recognised the guy from the gay community, but I didn't know him personally. A friend mentioned to me something about the local serial killer. I said, what? He explained a few young men had gone missing over the past few years, each after being at one specific dive bar, and each being found several miles to the north, past the state line, and out of the country. And out in the country. The case on the news matched up with that MO. My friend told me the young guy had been at that bar and left with somebody the night that he disappeared. The news report didn't mention anything about a gay bar or similar recent cases, of course. I had to wonder if my acquaintance from the internet had anything to do with it. The location of the murders apparently was nowhere near the duplex, at least according to the story I was told. I never heard of a resolution to that murder on the news, or any official mention of a suspect serial killer, other than some gossip. So, that happened. Hey guys, so I hope you enjoyed the story. It's a longer one, but very interesting. If you do like this type of content, please comment below. And please do take the time to like and share and also subscribe to the channel. And then I'll be able to add more.